and a kitchen and a bathroom upstairs. And we did quite well there. Then there's a little short side story here. The landlady and her son,
The drunk.
well, let me see. A lady and her son, every Saturday, Friday or Saturday night, I don't remember which anymore, they would get together and drink beer and smoke cigarettes and play cards.
Wait, who got together?
Who?
Mom and the landlady.
No, Mama, the landlady and her son.
Oh, okay.
And
They
he
were
was a bachelor,
close.
so, and
That's a great mother
so
story.
they sit down there and they get drunk, both of them. And that went on for week after week, and we just got a kick out of it. They weren't noisy or anything. It didn't bother us in none way. And
Things you remember though.
Yeah.
I remember
Yeah.
she was funny. And then one night, in the middle of the night, we heard fire sirens outside, flashing red lights coming in the windows like mad. We ran down, we jumped in our clothing as best we could and ran downstairs. The firemen were carrying the couch out of the living room and throwing it out on the front lawn. They had fallen asleep on there and set the couch on fire. And then the rug and carpet, when they tore up the carpet, the floor was lined with paper money.
What? Really?
Yeah, I mean to tell you, it was all kinds. And we just stayed away, but what you could see, it was 20s and 10s and so forth. And so she had been putting money underneath the carpet or the rug or what do you want to call it. And there was some in the couch as well.
The mattress, she put it in the carpet. She ran out of room under the mattress.
And
Clearly, she didn't have any dogs in the house.
what's it?
I said, clearly, she didn't have any dogs in the house because they would have had an accident on the carpet and then.
That one. That went on for quite a while. We got a bargain on that apartment, by the way, because the old lady had a brand new Studebaker Commander. I think it was called a Commander, and she couldn't drive anymore. And she made a deal with us: if we will take her for a drive every Sunday afternoon, or when we're available. I wasn't know it was available on a Sunday. But if we made a deal like that there, she would reduce our rent by quite a bit, which helped us a great deal. And so we'd take her for a Sunday drive up around up the mountains, up the Cascades and so forth, and up the Boise River and whatever she'd like to do. And then we'd stop at a restaurant and she'd take us in there and buy us dinner. She was a nice old lady. Her name was Chloe. Chloe White Watson, I think, was her name.
That was dollar bills.
She was quite well to do, obviously.
Well,
That's a good patty.
what happened by
never
dollar
tried
bill
that.
anyway? Yeah, I knew. The apartment in the living room, bedroom area had an alcove that went out. I don't know what they call that in those days, or but it was an offshoot off the side of the building.
Like a dormer.
Yeah, dormer, like a dormer, a big dormer, and it had two swinging doors on it that had plate glass windows in them, both of them. And again, Dorothy, it was coming up on Easter time, and Dorothy, she and I were just about broke all the time anyway, and but we were very young and in love, so we didn't care. It didn't matter much.
So you should write a song like that.
It didn't matter much. And we'd go to movies and things of that nature.
Country western song.
That's to entertain ourselves. We lived too far away from the base to do any good there, to get there and so forth. So let's see here.
What about the glass doors? Where were you going with that?
Oh, they did the two glass windows. Dorothy's mother sent us a $20 bill to go out and have an Easter dinner. Well, $20 in those days would buy you a hell of a good dinner. And Dorothy's cleaning in the living room there with a mop or a sweeper or whatever it was, and she smashed one of the glass windows accidentally. And it cost us our $20 bill to have it repaired.
Well, it could have been worse. You wouldn't have been able to
Pay for it.
Yeah,
get
it
your
could
cord
have
She
fixed.
said, just take care, just fix it. That's all I remember about that incident there. I told her, we broke the window, we'll have it fixed and so forth, and we did. And I had no tools or anything like that, so we had to have somebody do it. and they took care of our $20 bill that we didn't have.
Oh my gosh, Dad.
So let's see, what else has happened there? And then we finally decided they were going to ship us out. They were going to ship us to Tripoli in the late summer there. And Dorothy and the next door neighbor had become friends, and her husband was in the Air Force as well. And they took the train home from Mountain Home. I mean from Boise, Idaho. That girl was from Syracuse, New York, at that time, and they split up. Dorothy and her were considering staying out there, and I was very dead set against it. No. We weren't going to do this. And then we went back home. We drove back home with that old Plymouth coupe. I overhauled the engine with no tools. I had my Air Force tools. I put new rings in. Rick would love this.
You told me about this one.
I bought new rings from the Sears catalog for it because it drank oil, and I took the head off and I took the pan off out in the backyard. This was, and took the rings out, bought the new rings, and they were too big. They wouldn't. So I'm sitting there filing the ends of the rings off, so until they fit, and that they move up and down in the cylinder.
Wow.
And I got it working. It ran fine. I couldn't believe I'd accomplished this here, that it was really working very well. But I did it and got it done right, and we drove it all the way home, to that 2,600 and some miles.
How many cases of oil?
What?
How many cases of oil?
I had about 4 quarts of oil in the car with me in case I needed it. And I did need it, as it turned out. The rear main bearing oil seal, I had put it in backwards. And it blew out on near Rawlins, Wyoming. Out in the middle of nowhere. It blew out. And Rawlins, Wyoming's not too far from here. We can get to a garage and so forth. And I remember, I remember to about every 50 miles or so, I'd have to stop and put another quart of oil in it because it kept dumping it overboard.
Oh my word.
But it didn't burn oil anymore.
It just blew it out.
There was a trail for miles.
And then we got to someplace in Illinois or something late at night, and we stopped at a roadhouse. They didn't have motels. There weren't many motels in those days. There were very few motels and so forth. We stayed in a roadhouse, and it was a crummy son of a gun of a place. And the seats in my car, with my skinny rear end, I developed a rash on between my cheeks. In other words.
Talk to her.
And Dorothy's trying to help me. This is burning like crazy. And she said, "Wait a minute, in my kit here I have a bottle of
We have oil. We have motor oil.
That's where this was going.
I remember this, how this goes. This is funny.
I just remember you put it on.
Oh, she had a container
Not the
of
mother.
listen to me. She had a container of Zorbine Jr.
Oh no!
Oh my gosh!
She had it. I was laying on the bed, and she dropped the bottle on my back, and it splashed down between my cheeks, and it hit a couple of organs that it shouldn't have hit. And my behind was on fire, to say the least. I remember that well.
It sounds like you were at the Bates Motel.
Well, we're going down the road. We're going down the road, and we're heading for Michigan.
Did you wash it off? No. How'd you wash it off?
Well, she just wiped it off the best she could.
Then you got on the road again.
Don't forget, we were two kids. We were technically 2 kids yet. We really were. That was hot stuff. I don't think they make it today anymore. I don't believe it.
Yes, they do.
Well, I can't help it. That's the way it was.
I'm pretty sure that's the reason they have the warning label on it.
What kind of nurse's aide was she?
I was thinking maybe they just had a fight.
This'll work.
Well, anyway, we were out there in the Plains States. This car had no air conditioner either. And it was hot. Dorothy would sit on she would lay her head on my lap, so kind of, and stick her feet out the window.
You
And
smell good, you're absorbing.
Right. You really got Monica with that one.
I didn't know that was the punchline.
You know, he can tell us anything now. And after that, you can tell us anything, we'll believe it.
All right, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, keep going. That was definitely one I never heard before.
It's too bad Ryan's not here.
Well, back to the story.
Okay,
We're
so
close.
she's got her head in your lap.
Yeah, we're cruising along we were in Illinois or Ohio, or I don't know. It was still pretty warm. I remember that. And we're cruising along there, and Dorothy looked up at me and said, "Ken?" Yes. I said, "What's up?" She said, "I'm pregnant."
Aww.
Michael came into the story.
That happened when she was cleaning that absorbing junior off.
Rick!
No.
Don't connect the
What did
dots
I
to
do?
those kind
Oh,
of
dear.
stories.
It's okay.
Finished me off for the day. But
Really? That was what
this
did
was
it.
not in the plans.
We're not blind, Michael, sorry.
Well, anyway, I took her home, and I had about a 30-day leave.
I think
And,
I'm going to give you a new name.
She would move back into the.
Absorbing junior.
We might just call you Junior.
Oh, God. I see some great Christmas presents coming.
Oh, Dad.
What year was this?
Well, Michael was born
No, wait,
in
I'm gonna see it.
53.
I'm trying to
So,
say
let's,
52.
yeah, January 5th.
Dad, this is remarkable, though. You are like, you must have the years exactly right because, yeah, Michael was born in 53 and you were estimating the years.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Cool.
Okay, go ahead. This is riveting.
Where were we?
Okay, we're in
okay, we had
Ohio.
I had a 30-day leave, and
We're in
then
Ohio.
So
I
now
had
we've
to go back to
established that Michael is
Idaho,
legitimate.
and then we shipped out. Then we get back to the Air Force part of the story.
Yeah.
No.
We really wanted to hear about the Air
I
Force.
was picked because I was they considered the #1 engine man. Why I don't know again, but I was.
It was that backwards installation of that oil thing, legit.
That's what got them, yeah. With your
that
car.
was it. On the car.
The car.
Yeah, I didn't finish it. Yeah, we got it to Rawlings, Wyoming. I remember that particular
Uh-oh, we
well,
backed up.
and we got to a Dodge and Plymouth dealer, and I took it in there, and I said I gotta have something done with it. I gave him my story, what I was doing, and so forth, and he took pity on me. He said, "Well, take it right in." I said, "You blew out the rear main bearing oil seal. That's what happened to it." I explained to him what it had done to it and so forth. He said, "You probably put the bearing in backwards. You can. I mean the seal. You can put it in backwards." And that's exactly what I did. So they dropped the pan, put a new seal in, and we were on our way, and he charged me. I think it was $25. Well, we were glad to that, because a job like that took a couple of hours, but $25 even now, looking back, that wasn't that bad. But anyway, we were on our way again, and it was working fine, and didn't take any, didn't use any oil and so forth, and it worked very good. We got to Pennsylvania. We got on the Pennsylvania Turnpike, and this little old Plymouth there with this little V6 banger in there on the Pennsylvania Turnpike. it could do the maximum speed without any trouble, because I think the maximum speed was I'd say about 50 at that time. I don't know for sure. But we came across the Pennsylvania Turnpike in the middle of the night. We arrived in Lebanon about we were cruising all night long. We didn't stop for anything anymore. We were too anxious to get home, and that's when I went into that gas station I showed you on the Cornwall Road.
Yeah.
That's where we went to get. I could find a gas station that was open at that hour of the morning already, and he was open. And
Yeah,
we got gas. I remember
just
getting
last
gas
week.
there.
Yeah.
The
just
gas
last
station's
week.
still there.
Oh my gosh.
Well, it's
And
just,
then
it's
we
at the
came
tire
home.
place. It's a tire place now.
No, it's a gas station.
It's a gas station. It's a garage now or something.
On Cornwall
I think
Road.
it means,
It's a tire place. You mean that? Hosteders. It used to be Hosteders. The tire place.
Might be.
Right down from the fairgrounds. No.
Yeah, I think that's one.
Anyway, we got there, and I had a 30-day furlough, and I left to go back to Idaho about 20 days later or so, like that. There, I went by train from Harrisburg, and that was I remember that vividly. Going out of Harrisburg there, that was a long train ride all the way to Chicago, and then from Chicago to they didn't stop at Mountain Home. They stopped at Boise. It was the Spirit of Portland was the name of the train, but it was a steam engine. I remember that, and so we got back to Mountain Home, Idaho, and then we settled down to a routine for a couple of weeks until we were packing this whole unit up to go. We were shipping out as a unit, the 583 Supply and Communications Group, whatever that meant, but that didn't. It was just a cover for a covert operation. Is what it was. Propaganda. Our airplane. Well, I'll tell you a little bit later about that and how that happened. But we got there. I went on the advance party. We went to lodges in the Azores, and we were and our
That's where that
B-29s were
picture's
coming
from.
through. Huh?
That's where that picture's from.
The
picture on
poster.
the poster.
That
the
poster.
picture on the poster, Dad. You were in the Azores there.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, the Azores are an island just off the
Yeah,
coast
I
of
know.
Africa.
That picture that Ryan copied is from when you were in the Azores.
Oh, yeah, that probably could be. Yeah.
it is. It's on the back of the picture. It says so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's where it was then. And we saw each of our we had 16 B-29s in our outfit and 4 SA-16s and 4 C-119s. And this maintenance team that we had put together was designed to help each one of them as they got through there, because that was about a 7,000-mile trip for them. And those bombers were old, but they were in good shape. But we made them like that whole. Wait, where's the dog going? Okay.
Where'd she go?
What's he saying?
She went
Where's the dog
upstairs.
Oh,
Oh, okay.
upstairs?
Anyway,
She's going to bed.
we saw our P-29s through there. The commander of the unit was flying one of the airplanes, and remember that he came down out of the airplane with a big cigar in his mouth. And this was a no-no. You don't do stuff like that. You can't. He's a full bird colonel. He didn't care what we didn't like. So we got through successfully through that, and we got on a C-97, the maintenance team, when they were all through there, and we headed for Wheelus Air Force Base in Tripoli. There was nothing, and that was the wildest ride I ever had in an airplane, and I never want to have again.
Yeah.
It was a C-97, and it got caught in a storm, and it was loaded down mostly with dependents, women and children. And we got into a horrible storm, and that plane was all over the sky, very imaginable, and all the kids didn't know how to handle it, neither did all the women. You learn to ride with the airplane, stay with the airplane, just like we're riding a horse. It's the same thing. So don't try to fight it. That it's maybe all kinds of maneuvers like that there, and that worked out pretty well for us. Not for me anyway. I didn't get sick at all, but there were people. It was all over the place. There was burnt bags were coming out everywhere.
Oh my gosh.
And we made it to Tripoli, and then our hearts hit the bottom of the barrel.
Why?
And we saw our area where we were stationed. We were in tents, about 5 miles from the main base. We were just in 10, 12 men squad tents, I think. They had a cement floor, and they had a framework, and then they had the tent over top of that. And that's how we lived for about 16 months, maybe 15. I was up in Germany for a couple months.
That's rough.
Yeah, that's my corner. Yeah.
This is corner.
Yeah, that's there. You can see what it looked like. That was the inside of the tent.
Yeah. Cool.
That's Dorothy's picture there.
Yeah, it is. Aw. That's neat.
And that's for how we lived for
Those are big tents.
like I said, 14 or 15 months. The only relief I had ever had from it was
That was a cot.
that was before or after. Okay, in the meantime, Dorothy had a baby.
Oh,
Yeah.
You wonder what happened to that kid.
you mean Junior?
So, you're coming up here.
Oh, good.
Ben Gay, maybe?
I wanted to see this baby in the worst way. I wanted to see Dorothy in the worst way. I really wanted to. And you could have. I had some 30-some days of annual leaves.
There we go. That's how magic came about.
Furlough time coming and so forth. And we found out you could use it. You could use the mass air transport system if on a priority 4. That left you on standby. That's all you got out of that. So I applied for a leave, and I was able to get my connections right, and I flew all the way to lodges in the Azores again. We got bumped off that airplane, and I was put on another airplane, and I got all the way to Westover Air Force Base, Massachusetts. And I can't remember how. I must have taken a train down to Harrisburg. I don't remember anymore how I got there. For sure. And remember, let's see. Remember how that is going on there. I've got to collect my thoughts here a minute. Okay, I got home. Dorothy, in the meantime, had moved to an apartment on Main Street, and up across the street from. There used to be a hotel there. I can't think of that name of that hotel. Across the street from the Locust Street. There was a hotel on the corner where that child place is now.
Oh, yeah, it was a bank there for a while.
Are we talking West Main
No,
Street?
No, like across the corner from where our church, from the United Church. of
Yeah.
Christ.
Oh, yeah.
There used to be a hotel there.
Yeah.
Or a
Right.
boarding house, sort of.
Yeah.
She and Bill couldn't get along, and they weren't getting along too well. And so she moved there, and that's where I met her there. And I came to remember walking up Bainey Avenue. I don't know how I got there. And my dad was sitting out on the front porch glider, and with Michael in his arms, and here's your son. So we had a glorious meeting. You started screaming as soon as I picked you up. Who is this bum? And so, well, anyway, I had a nice leave there, and how do I want to put this into this
Oh,
public?
just tell us. We already heard about the diaper rash.
Oh, okay, we'll go on from there.
Go for it, Dad. Go for it.
Anyway, I had a great furlough, and then I prepared to go back, and so forth. And I did the same thing going back. I got a Navy plane out of Dover Air Force Base. I don't know how it was a Navy airplane, but I got all the way back to Tripoli, and I was safe in Tripoli again. And but a couple of weeks later, I got a letter from Dorothy. I'm pregnant. That's where Monica comes in.
Yeah.
Like you said, you had a great leave.
And don't come home again.
Therefore explains the really big gap.
You didn't come home for another 5 years.
In the meantime, well, Michael was born at Indiantown Gap, and Monica was born, I think, at Indiantown Gap. I'm not
No,
sure.
I don't think so. I think I was at Lebanon Valley.
Sanatorium, probably. That's right.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
I didn't remember anymore how that went.
I'm glad you like to say that.
And then, in the meantime, there I got one good deal at Christmas time. Our unit was selected to go up to Ramstein Air Force Base in Frankfurt, Germany, and pick up 2 loads of Christmas trees. And the bomb bays of the B-29s had cargo racks in them in place. They didn't have bomb racks in there, they had cargo racks in there, and we were able to put about maybe 200 Christmas trees in each bomb bay. And we took off. We started to take off, and the number 4 engine blew. All of a sudden, it's done. And me being the engine man along, I was selected to stay there and disconnect the engine a while, and they'll send a new engine up to us from Wheelers, and they sent one up, but it'll be in a C-119, and it got off the rails and went through the floor. The engine stand that it was in. There were 4 rollers, and they went through the floor because it was off this reinforced area, and that's the way it worked. So they had to send another airplane and another engine up to us. Then they sent 2 more engine men along, and now we're in the middle of Frankfurt, Germany, in the middle of winter, and it was colder than hell. And we couldn't find any hangar space, so we had to change the engine outside. That was the last word. I had a parka, and I had those fur-lined, or not fur-lined, alpaca-lined pants that zipped up. You just backed into them. You have them hanging on the wall, and you backed into them, and you put the 2 zippers together, pull the zippers up to the top, and you were snug as a bug in a rug. Especially if you had fur-lined boots, which we had too, and we made out all right. But about 3 or 4 days later, we changed it. It took about 2 days to change the engine in spite of the weather and so forth. And in the meantime, we spent a lot of time in Frankfurt. That was a lot of fun. Maragustus comes to mind.
The thing that always makes me like crazy about this story, because you and I talked about this a few weeks ago, when you said, I said, but what happened to the Christmas trees? They sent a plane to pick up the Christmas trees. The Christmas trees got out of there.
You just got stuck.
Well, they sent another airplane up for the Christmas trees.
I mean, I'm like, they left you there and they took the Christmas trees.
They did. I was stuck with it.
The mission. It's the mission.
You're an adult. Speak for yourself. So we did that, and then we let's see. We went to I got back to Tripoli about a couple of weeks later. In the meantime, I'd been there about 2 months till all this turnaround stuff worked out. That we got the new engine there.
Wow.
Then we were taking off from Frankfurt. This is hairy. This gets to be. We were taking off, and just as we were taking off, a civilian C-97 shot by us over top of us, and landed in front of us. And our pilot nearly went nuts. He was fit to kill, and he taxied. He stopped our airplane, and he taxied it up to near the control tower at Frankfurt, got out of the, shut all 4 engines down, walked into the control tower. We didn't see anything going on, but they said he just tore everybody in there a new asshole. They could have been a disaster.
This may have been the first known recorded or not recorded road rage incident.
It was road rage. Tower
What's
rage.
that?
It could have been the very first known road rage incident.
Yes, it could have been. He was fire. I remember him telling me that half of this stuff had happened. It happened. I didn't push that airplane through the floor of the 119. I didn't blow the engine. I didn't do anything wrong. But I got hell for it because it took too long.
Oh.
But that's okay. In the meantime, I got promoted to staff sergeant, so that didn't make me mad.
That worked out okay.
Well, I think he just wanted to blow smoke. So a couple of weeks later, we're back into regular duty at Willis, and how the heck did then I thought, now wait a minute. I'm in my last year of my hitch. I wonder if I could get in out of here earlier or something like that. What could I do? And I thought, I'm going to go to the commander. And I went to the commander and I told him my situation. I said, I've got a second child home. And he said, how did that come about? Well, I explained this whole thing to him. I was home on leave. How else do you think it happened?
Usual way.
The regular way.
So he said, I have sympathy for you, but I can't let you go. Well, then it turned out to be a little bit different. A regulation was passed about that time in the Air Force that if you when you return to the ZI, the Zone of the Interior, meaning the United States, and you had less than 6 months remaining on your enlistment, you could apply for discharge. Although, this is what I'm going to do, and I applied for that, and sure enough, I got leave permit, got transferred out of the Air Force. I was flown home to, I think they went to Dover Airport Base, I think. Yeah, and I landed there, and I was discharged there, and took the train home to Harrisburg, and I was out of the Air Force. And
And what?
Yeah.
Now you've got a baby and a baby on the way and no job.
No, I got my time frame mixed up here. Monica was born 5 days before I arrived in the ZI.
Oh.
Something like that, so I never got to see that. I missed that one too while I was at it.
Oh.
From what I heard, I wasn't very impressive, so don't worry about it.
She was just little and
I
pink.
got home and I
That's pretty scrawny.
and Dorothy had moved again in the meantime
Trying to lose
to an apartment on Main Street. Yeah, and things were then I was out of the Air Force. I was a civilian. That case closed. Story over.
Well, not exactly, because you ended up back in the Air National Guard then for.
The rest of your career.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. No sooner got home, and John Brown, who was a friend of mine, and Dorothy's and so forth, he said, "Kenny, why don't you join the Air National Guard where I am?" He said, "Maybe you could get a job there for full time." He said, then he came back to me later on, and he said to me, "You are the only person here that has an engine AFSC." And the Air Force had just employed that system of ratings of what trades you were in, of some sort. And here I was the only guy there that had that AFSC. And he said, they have tech sergeant slots all over the place that they can't fill. So I went down, and Donald Snyder was there. He was the executive officer of the unit at the time. And he swore me in. I joined the Guard. In the meantime, I got a job at Olmsted Air Force Base as a civilian, and I worked there for 9 years. And then they were closing the depot, and luckily two jobs opened up at 193rd, the 148th at that time. That was the 148th Fighter Squadron at that time. I applied there, and I got the full-time job there, and I stayed with them the rest of my career. I was a Air National Guard in no time at all. As a matter of fact, in no time at all, I was a master sergeant because if the slots were there and they couldn't fill them. And because of that AFSC that I was carrying, and nobody else had one.
Wow, did that ever work out?
So it worked out. That worked out pretty good for me in the end.
Yeah.
What about Melissa? How did she come about?
I came in a basket.
That's right. Mike and I just didn't realize how on the money we were.
I didn't need any leave to take care of that.
No, I'll confess one thing to you.
Oh,
We didn't already hear a confession?
It's very nice. It's actually very nice. Dorothy and I were settled into our new home, our own home in Myerstown, 403 South College Street. And one evening, Dorothy came to me and said, "Ken, I want another baby."
there you go, Missy. Do you feel good now?
Probably about as good as you two feel.
She was giving you the choice.
What's that?
She was giving you the option.
It's your choice.
So we have another baby. And it went on from there.
You know what? Didn't you ever say that afterward again? That was it.
I was home then for the day duration. I had more to do than tear the house apart and put it back together again a couple times.
Well, I mean, what that tells me is Monica and I were so good that Mom wanted another kid.
And then
And
I
after
came
you-
along.
After you, she said, "That's enough."
Okay, well.
I was planning on a new car.
Oh, well.
So about that time, working part-time. I don't think she ever worked full-time, actually. Did she?
Not when we were kids.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
Not when we were kids.
I don't know.
Oh,
Well, I always thought you were in the regulars longer than that. So how long were you only in?
I wasn't in 4 years.
Oh,
I was just 3 years and
I always
9
thought-
months,
I always
3
thought
months and
you were
8 months or
longer.
something like that.
Yeah, I thought you were too. I thought you were in like 13 years or something. I don't know where I got that from.
No, I was 9 years in the, let's see, 9 years at Olmsted Air Force Base as a civilian. And then we had, let's see, what the heck was it? I'm trying to,
They
then
closed
the National Guard, I was in the National Guard for 35 years. That one plate of mine is that in the cabinet, in my cabinet there, that one metal plate, that's 35 years that I was in the National Guard. But I was an air technician for, I had a total Air Force time, everything put together. 39 years, 11 months, 20 days.
Oh my gosh, why did you go to 40 years? Why did you go to 40 years?
I had 10 days to go.
I know.
I had 10 days to go, and I would have had 40 years.
I know.
The
That would bother
assistant maintenance officer, well, the assistant maintenance officer at the 193rd tried to get me that extra 10 days, but the Air Force wouldn't approve it because they said there were too many ifs, ands, and buts there. If something would happen to, we'd give him an extension of 10 days, and something would happen to him, the government would be responsible. He said he tried a letter through the Adjutant General of the state. He tried a letter through the National Guard Bureau. He tried a letter from somebody else to try to get that 10 days. They couldn't get.
Yeah, but how did you get there? You retired. You retired. Did you make your retirement? How did you come up 10 days short? You just handed in your retirement as of such a date, or what? I don't understand.
Wait a minute.
Yeah, why was it 10 days short? Why did you pick that day?
How did you retire? I mean, you obviously picked a date to retire.
Yeah. Okay. I was an air technician, supervisor, and so forth. What I had to do was, let's see, how the hell does this work out?
I know you wanted out of that job.
Your civil service retirement is separated now from your Air Force retirement. Your Air Force retirement is one amount of money, and the civil service is the other. The civil service being the time you were in the guard as an air technician. You're actually a civilian employee, but you must wear the uniform. Well, you're familiar.
Yeah, but I'm saying is when you retired, when you decided to retire.
Oh, when I started figuring something out, I knew I had many years in contract all the way through, and I had plenty of time in there. So I had one of my friends out at the Gap, who was in accounting of some sort, fill out. I said, fill out my an application for retirement. What would I get now? Right this minute. And he filled it out and sent the paperwork to me, and I saw that, oh my gosh, we can live on that. That's no problem. And I said, so I decided to retire from my civil service job. Then I retired in 58. No, 78, 68, 78. Yeah, I retired from that in 88.
Yeah,
1988, I retired from my civilian job. But then I stayed on in the guard to 2 more years till I was 60 years old. That's how it worked out. So that.